Hey everybody, welcome back to Thingee's Tech Talk, where we talk about all things tech. I'm Jeff Bromley.
And I'm Rob Barra, and today we are going to continue the conversation we've been having about passwords. Now, we talked previously about phishing attacks and how a lot of those are used to compromise the accounts that you have. Today we want to talk a little bit about how you can protect yourself and also how you can tell if you're currently at risk. Now, as I see it, the biggest problem with passwords is that everybody uses the same password everywhere. And that's why phishing is so bad. And you can watch last time's video to find out more about the phishing. But what we wanted to talk about today are just ways that you can protect yourself, better habits that you can get into, and just some tools that you can use to help make your life better and easier and have less to remember, really.
Yeah, but before we get into that, we want to tell you some of the ways that hackers are trying to get your information, because at the end of the day, they want to find out what your password is. So the first one we talked about last week, phishing. You click on a link, you put your password in, bam, they've got your password. Now they have access to everything. You can watch last week's Tech Talk video. The next thing up is brute force. So where they're actually using random passwords to try and gain access to your information and your password and trying to get into that.
Well, it's not even necessarily random. There's actually, with all of the hacks that have happened, there's actually databases out there that you can find the most commonly used passwords.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, the most commonly used password.
Or welcome.
Or welcome.
Or 1 2 3 4 5.
1 2 3 4 5, which anyone that's a Mel Brooks fan understands. An idiot would put that on their luggage.
Yes, exactly. And with that, there's also dictionary attacks where they'll actually use every word in the dictionary. So, just taking the word apple and putting that in there and just keep trying and trying and trying until they get access to your account, which hackers are able to do. They're very smart programmers.
They are.
Yeah.
And with computing power and bandwidth being what it is, if the services that you're using aren't protecting against those types of attacks, they'll just keep getting to try it.
Yeah.
That's why when you put the wrong password in several times, you'll get locked out or frozen. Those are really countermeasures to protect you.
Yeah.
In the event that someone is using that type of an attack to get after you.
Yeah. The other way that they gain access to your passwords is through the form of malware or a keylogger. So they actually install something on your computer that's actually going to look at the keys that you are logging on your computer and record those back. And taking snippets of those and trying to use those as passwords, they'll be able to find it out pretty darn quick within a single 24-hour period what your passwords are.
Right, because usually your password will come in a pair. So you'll have a username like your email address, which they probably already know based on, if you were phished in order to get the keylogger installed, and then, whatever you have after it. Now, there's lots of tools, and we can, if you have questions about how keyloggers work or how you can get away from that kind of stuff, just leave some comments or give us a call. We're happy to help you walk through that. But what we wanted to do today was talk a little bit how you can protect yourself and use some of the tools that we've recommended to protect yourself and actually make it so that you can use strong passwords and have it actually be manageable for you as an individual.
Yeah, and well, the one thing to note about strong passwords is the definition of a strong password has changed over the years.
It has.
Before, it used to be an uppercase, a lowercase, and a special character. Well, hackers have figured that out, that everybody puts an exclamation point at the end of their password, so now they just add an exclamation point. So strong passwords have changed where they were 10 years ago to now, where they need to be a lot stronger, either a paraphrase or something with a lot of crazy characters in it that you probably would never be able to memorize on your own.
Right. Some people think that the strongest passwords are just, a combination of words that would make it very difficult to guess all of them, but sometimes they can be memorable. I wouldn't recommend using things that are easily known through social engineering, like your kids' names or things of that nature, pets, whatever. Those are normally the first things that people try when they're doing a social engineering attack. But the thing to know, there's actually a service out there, and we'll put the link for it in the comments. There's a service out there that will take your information, whether it's your email address or what have you, and look at the various breaches that have happened across almost everything, and tell you if your account credentials have been compromised. The site's called Have I Been Pwned? Of course, leet speak for owned. And it's a great service. It'll, you can just put your email address in. It'll tell you whether or not your email's been compromised, what accounts potentially have been compromised, and it's a growing problem. The other thing you can use, Google, if you use Google Chrome, has a lookup tool to see if not only your accounts have been compromised, but also if the passwords that you're using are commonly used and maybe you should change them. Now, when you use a tool like Google Password, or what Jeff and I use here at Thingee, which is a tool called 1Password, what it allows you to do is have either your identity through a thumbprint with Touch ID, or your face through Face ID on an iPhone, or through fingerprint IDs or other biometrics on an Android phone. It allows you to have you be the thing, it's passcode or whatever, that stores your passwords. If you're using a tool like that records all of that, you potentially need to remember less, but you're actually more secure. I actually use a lot of times, Apple has their iCloud Keychain. When I'm creating a new account on a website, I just have it suggest a strong password for me, and I have no idea what most of my passwords are. And with copy and paste and things like that, or use of 1Password or iCloud Keychain, it's actually pretty easy to manage. Yeah. The other thing that I want to suggest is, whenever it is available, especially with things that are very sensitive, financial, bank, credit card, what have you, if you have the opportunity to activate two-factor authentication, always do that. Now, you have to be careful with two-factor. You want to use something that is generating a token and not just sending you a text message, because it's been possible with, and people have done this. There have been articles about this.
Yeah, they spoof the cell phone number.
Spoof the cell phone number, and then they get the code that way. Two-factor authentication, if you're not familiar with it, it's normally described as something you know and something you have. So Facebook uses a code generator inside of the app. If it thinks that it's not you that's logging in, it'll say, hey, generate a code from your app, because they know that you should have the app, and then it'll use that.
Yeah, Apple has a similar service as well, where it's going to send that code to via registered devices through a secure protocol to actually show up on there. So it's a much more secure way of doing things to protect those passwords.
Right. So definitely, if you have that option, it's always a good idea to activate two-factor. It's a little, it's an extra step, but it's a lot better to have to put 6 extra digits into your bank account rather than having some guy just totally steal all of your money.
Absolutely.
So we hope that you found this helpful. We know that there's lots of scary people out there that want to steal all of your stuff. We don't want to be alarmist, but by the same token, there are some simple things that you can do to protect yourself. So again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. We're always happy to talk to you about neat things related to technology. So this has been Thingee Tech Talk. I'm Rob Barra.
And I'm Jeff Bromley.
See you next time.